Hey, how y'all doing tonight or this morning? I see someone is on the live and it's 4 a.m. for you all. But thank you all. Listen, thank you all for joining. I am Taquila Coleman, best-selling author, God Ordained Marriage Coach, and founder of GodOrdainedMarriage.com. Tonight, we're talking about how many times does divine separation happen? So, listen, those of you who are already jumping on the live, hey, Donna, happy birthday, Donna. God's child, hey, God's child, hey, Life Light, hey, Gigi, hey, Z, hey, Victoria, Doc and Queen Ministry is here. Thank you all for joining. Listen, let's go ahead and tell Donna, one of our God ordained spouse, happy birthday. Okay, today is her birthday. And this is also Donna's question. This is why I'm doing this live for you, Donna, because it's your day. I told you we're going to celebrate on your birthday. But I'm answering Donna's question. She has some questions around divine separation. So we're going to talk about it. Okay. Now, before we get started, for those of you who haven't heard the news yet, um, let me pull it up. So we just launched our dream interpretation masterclass part two. Okay, because a lot of you have been asking me, when I'm going to do the next dream interpretation class. So here it is. Okay, our next dream interpretation class is the end of this month, Wednesday, May 31st. Okay. You can go to this link right here, godordainedmarriages.com/dream class and sign up. I don't know when after this class I'm going to do another dream interpretation class, but this particular master class is going to be in depth. We're going over how to identify evil spirits in your dream. We're talking about covenants. I'm going to help you to identify the marine kingdom when it's showing up in your dream. Um, we're gonna talk about spirit spouses, different. We're gonna go like in depth with the covenants, the marriage covenant, the children's covenant. Just this is gonna be an in-depth masterclass, okay? So this is your time to sign up. So make sure everyone head over to godordainedmarriages.com/dream class. Okay. Now, thank you. So thank you all for joining. Yes, Donna, happy birthday. We are with you today, sister. Okay, so you don't have to feel sad. You don't have to feel down. This is your day. We are here with you. Okay. So for those of you who are just tuning in, if this is your first time catching me live, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Everyone, make sure you like this live video. So let's jump into it. How many times does divine separation happen? Well, we're going to talk about it, okay? Um, we're going to go in more in depth into this, okay? Because I want you all to understand, like what is really taking place in divine separation. How many times does it happen? What is expected of us during divine separation, okay? So we already know um, why divine separation comes about, right? When God reveals to you who your spouse is, right? At that time, God may allow for you and this individual to have contact with one another. However, while you are in contact with your spouse, God is speaking to your spouse. Okay. I can't tell you what God is saying, but I know God is speaking to your spouse, right? But after a certain amount of time goes by, if your spouse refuse to be obedient to the Lord's instruction, if your spouse, begins to run away from God, if they begin to run away from God, their purpose, et cetera, then God is going to call for a divine separation, okay? And this is when you will begin to hear God tell you to leave your spouse, separate from your spouse, have a way God says it to you, okay? He may even lead your spouse into leaving you, okay? If God know you're not going to leave your spouse, because we got some stubborn God ordained spouses on here. Okay, if he know you're not going to leave your spouse, then he will cause your spouse to break up with you or leave you. Okay, And it's all because, your spouse has come up under God's wrath. Okay, I know, Donna, you was asking, how do you know if your prodigal is going through God's wrath and judgment? If there's no, like if there's no contact, don't worry about it. Just know, okay, when that divine separation happened, okay, 9 times out of 10, he probably is up under God's wrath. Okay, first is God's wrath, then is God's judgment. Okay, but God will show you in your dreams or however way He talks to you. He would let you know, what, like He would. I'm speaking from experience. He would even show you your prodigal spouse's judgment. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to know, if your spouse is going through this wrath or judgment right now. You don't have to know that. Just know, just look at whatever God is highlighting to you in your dream or your visions, okay? And just know whatever God showed you or reveals to you, it is to come, okay? But God doesn't want us trying to figure out if your prodigal spouse is going through the judgment right now. If it's a divine separation, 9 times out of 10, he is up under God's wrath right now. Okay. But so this is why divine separation happened, because one individual becomes a prodigal. What it means to be a prodigal is you this person was once serving the Lord, and then they stopped serving the Lord for their own reason. They are now off in wild, reckless living, because this whole entire world is based upon covenant. Okay, you are either in covenant with God or you are in covenant with the devil. There's no in between. You can't serve both. Okay, choose this day which God you gonna serve. So God, will give your prodigal grace before they become a prodigal. He will continue to talk to them. He will, continue to speak to them and warn them, like, hey, don't go that route. Hey, stop doing this. You messing with fire. You're going the wrong way. But if your prodigal continue to suppress the truth, if they continue to reject what God is telling them, God is going to get them over to a reprobate mind. And that's when they come up under God's wrath, okay? And God will separate the believing spouse from the prodigal spouse, okay, for your protection. So the whole purpose of divine separation, it is for your protection, the believing spouse, okay? For the prodigal, it is to bring about correction. See, they come up under God's wrath. God uses his wrath and judgment to get his way. That's why when you are asked me about free will, what about their free will? That stuff goes away because God knows exactly how to deal with his children. This is why God's wrath is built in. This is why we have a judgment. Okay, he's going to get his way anywhere it go. So if God, told you that this is your spouse and they run it, okay, God knows exactly how to deal with that behind. He knows exactly how to give your spouse a face-to-face encounter. He knows exactly what to touch, what to take away to get their attention. Okay, so so like I said, God, the divine separation for the believer spouse, it is for your protection, but for your prodigal, it is God now coming to bring correction to them, right? Because they've been, choosing their will. They've been activating principles in the Bible, the wrong principles where they activating poverty and shame. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they are storing up in their life. So it's for your protection, but also, the purpose of divine separation is also so that you can take the time to heal. I talked about this earlier in the videos I uploaded to the channel. Because depending on whatever you went through before that divine separation happened, you could have, seen certain things go on with your prodigal spouse. You could have witnessed them being with a counterfeit. They could have been critical of you, abusive, um, just hurting your heart. They could have betrayed you, rejected you, and all of these things. Thank you, God's own KJ. Thank you for sharing. But they could have been just not so great, right, towards you, that caused now for you to, be wounded by them. And so again, God will create this divine separation so that you can take the time out to heal. Okay, you cannot heal in the same environment or the same place where you were broken in. You got to separate. You cannot heal still being around the same person who broke you. Uh-uh. You have to separate yourself from these individuals, okay? And let me say this because I don't think I included it in my notes, but this is another reason why during divine separation, yes, God will have you separate from your prodigal, but then God will also begin to tell you, okay, I need you to separate from these family members. I need you to let go of those friendships. I need you to, release these people you placed in your business. He will be very specific with you because God see what you don't see. And then God know where he's taking you, right? And so if any people are in your life that would hinder or delay you from getting to where God, the promised land where God want to take you, God is going to begin to speak to you and tell you, go ahead and let that individual go. And let me say this. He when he began to talk to you about letting these individuals go, he wants you to do it in order. He wants you to do it the right way. No blocking. Okay, we got to get out that habit. No blocking. Okay, he wants you to, end these relationships. Okay, the right way. The way how he tells you to do it. Okay, but so like I said, protection and healing. Is some of the things. Where's the purpose behind the divine separation? Like I said, with the prodigal, God is bringing correction to them. Okay. He has to correct certain things going on in your prodigal. And I'm going to tell you this, I really believe the prodigals who are running from God, not the ones who running from their purpose, but the ones who are running from God, it has a lot to do with, yes, what's going on in their heart, but it has a lot to do with how they are perceiving God, because they could have been hurt in the past. Y'all let me know if my internet kicked off because I'm seeing my screen jump and I'm checking the connection now. So y'all let me know. But it has a lot to do with how they are perceiving God, because um however way you perceive, your parents is how you're gonna view God. So if your, parents abandoned you or rejected you, or if you just had a hard upbringing, a hard childhood, you're gonna see God as someone who is controlling, someone who always tell you no, someone who is mean. If certain things happen in your life, um, that wasn't all that great, you're gonna take that out on God. And so a lot of these prodigals are running from God because of how they see God, how they mad with God about certain things that happen in their life. And so this is why God has to encounter them even while they're running away. And this is why God will put us in divine separation, because he doesn't want you trying to try to like heal your spouse or whatever. God's like, no, I know what's going on in his heart. I know why they running, so I'm about to go ahead and encounter my own child and get them some understanding behind whatever happened in their life. I'm going to bring healing to that mother wound, that father wound, right? For some of our prodigal, they were married in the past, right? And because they know you are God ordained, they could be running from that marriage. They're like, oh no, right? Because they probably have a fear that if I get married again, it's going to end in divorce. Or they can have a fear of commitment, or a fear of trusting again, or a fear of rejection. And so they run. And so God know all, and he would say in so many words, he would, put that, he'll bring that divine separation, and he'll tell you, go over there and start working on, forgiving your spouse, while he is now encountering your spouse. Now he's over here working on your spouse's heart. Okay. So just understand. Okay. Thank you, KJ. Just understand, divine separation, God is protecting the believing spouse, and he is bringing correction and healing to the prodigal spouse. Okay. Another reason why God would call for divine separation, because we can easily get off track. We can easily get off track when God allows for you and your spouse to come together, like have some time together. It's easy to operate or fall over into idolatry, and it's easy for the wife to begin to look to the husband to lead, right? And lead her into this marriage, right? And so God would stop, he would stop it. He'd be like, wait a minute, he'd come in and say, wait, divine separation again. Because God is trying to let everyone know this is his love story. God is the one doing the leading and the joining, not you or him. Okay. That was one of the things the Lord had, like kind of dealt with me concerning, you know. So he will step in and create a divine separation if whoever is looking to the spouse, to lead them into this God ordained marriage. God is like, no, this is his marriage. It's his instruction. You keep seeking God, and he will give you the desires of your heart. He will join this marriage together. Okay. Um, Another reason for the divine separation is that maybe your spouse, or even you, because I'm hearing a lot of believing spouses say how they're not attracted to their prodigal spouse, all this other stuff. And so God will create a divine separation so that the individual who doesn't see their spouse's value can now begin to see their spouse's value. Okay. So, he will remove you. He said, go away, get it, just go ahead, take some time away so that your spouse can begin to see your value, begin to see you, begin to understand they had a good thing, right, when they were with you, or had you right there in their present, right? And so God, I'm telling you, he's the best matchmaker. He knows exactly what he's doing. And so he will put both parties in time out, until they begin to correct how they see in one another. Okay. So he will be waiting on, whoever it is to see their spouse's value. Okay. And another reason for the divine separation is for you to, that's the time for you to prepare. That's preparation time. So there's work that needs to be done. Okay. There's work that needs to be done. Save the questions towards the end. That's when I'm gonna open up for Q&A and take y'all questions. Okay. So to answer the question, how many times does divine separation happen? It should only happen once. It should only happen once. But God know his children, you know, he know his children. Scripture say hope defers makes the heart sick. If your heart becomes sick, if you start losing hope, if you start, getting depressed, if you start doubting God, you're like, I just don't know. I don't believe you're gonna do this. I'm not hearing anything, I'm not seeing anything. In that moment, God will allow your phone to ring and it's your spouse. Now, if this has happened to you, it doesn't mean that just because they called, like that was God sending your spouse back. No, that was him giving you hope so that you wouldn't give up. So he would give you a little glimpse of hope. He will prompt your spouse, go ahead and call. Go ahead and send a text message. Or you could be out and you might run into your spouse, right? But that doesn't mean that it was time for this, for y'all, the two of you to come together in marriage, okay? That was really God just giving you hope because you were losing hope because you wasn't seeing anything. You wasn't hearing anything from your spouse, okay? Um, so understand that. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but let's look at this in the Bible because divine separation, it's biblical. God told Abraham to leave. He was like, leave your family, your house, your father's household, and go to the place that I'm gonna show you, right? Now, Abraham, he left, but Lot came with him. That wasn't the instruction. God was like, separate from your family. Lot still hanging on to him, right? And so as you continue, as you read the book of Genesis, they begin to quarrel. Their possessions became too big to where they were just quarreling with one another. And then that's when Abraham was like, okay, you choose where, which way you're gonna go, and I'm gonna go the opposite way. And then that's when that divine separation happened. Okay. Understand, when you don't leave when God tell you to leave, curling is going to happen. Okay. If you stay too long, you might get hurt in the process. Okay. You might even get attacked by the enemy. So understand, when God say leave, When God says separate yourself, when he say let your spouse go, or when he tell you your spouse is now under God's wrath, listen and be obedient to it. Okay. Joseph in the Bible, in Genesis, that divine separation happened when his brothers sold him. They did this out of jealousy or whatever, but that wasn't a that divine separation had to happen because I really believe as you read the story, I don't think Joseph would have ever left. I think he was comfortable right where he was at. So God allowed his brothers to reject him and to, respond the way how they responded towards Joseph because God needed Joseph over here in Egypt so that he can place him head. Okay, so he could get him in position and bring about that his dream. Okay, so we see divine separation happen in Joseph's life one time, okay, and then David, Saul and David. Now here's the thing, because a lot of you are dealing with a Saul and David situation in your God ordained love story, right? Now the thing about David, he was like most of us because Saul, he was the king, and Saul liked David, but he was also jealous of David. He liked it. He was like, okay, I need this man, because of Saul's disobedience, the Lord put a evil spirit on Saul that tormented him. And the only way Saul was able to receive relief was when David was playing the harp. So he knew he needed David, but yet he was jealous of him. Some of y'all dealing with some prodigals like that. Your prodigal know they need you, but yet they jealous of you, right? And so David, because the first time when Saul tried to take David's life, you would think that he would have caught the hint and just left Saul alone, but he didn't. He went right on back. He listened to Saul telling him, "Okay, I ain't gonna try to kill you again." Only for Saul to sit up here and lie again, right? Saul kept on trying to take David's life, kept plotting against him, right? So it took David a few times to say, you know what? Because when you read First Samuel, you don't hear God saying separate. You don't hear that. But God used the evil spirit, okay, that evil spirit he placed on Saul, and God was sending a message through how Saul was showing up, trying to take David's life. He wanted David to tap into your discernment. He like, David, don't you see Saul is after you? He's trying to take your life. Separate yourself. Now, this is a message for someone, okay? Let me just say this, because I know we talk about prodigal, but divine separation can also apply to family and friends. It can apply to your enemies, okay? When God is showing you your enemies, your friends, the people you call them family, are after your life. They are jealous of you. They plotting against you. That's not the time for you to sit up here and ignore what you're seeing. That's not the time for you to say, I don't know, God. This my girl. This my boy. I don't know. Uh-uh. That is a clear indicator. God is speaking through the attack. He is showing you. He is allowing you to see that you feel your intuition going off. You know what that intuition is telling you. You hear what it's saying. That person jealous of you. They plotting against you. That means divine separation. Get away from this individual. An evil spirit is operating through this individual. So it took David a few times. Okay, it wasn't until what was his son name? What was King Saul son name, who David was best of friends, but I can't think his name. But it took for his son to come back and tell David, like, yes, my father is planning on taking your life. Go ahead, don't come back this way. Go ahead and continue moving forward. So don't be like David, okay? Don't be like David and keep on Jonathan. There we go. Thank you all. Don't be like David. I was about to call him Nathan. Don't be like David, okay? And keep on allowing the enemy, 50 times to take your life, only for you to realize, like, okay, wait a minute. I don't think this person is really for me. Just go ahead and separate yourself. Okay, thank you all. Thank you. So again, divine separation, it should be once. However, if you're losing hope in the process, God will, because he's a good father. He wants you to still stand. He understands his scripture. It say hope defers make the heart sick. And let me tell you something, let's go deep into this. Because it say hope deferred makes the heart sick. See, you lose hope by focusing on what your prodigal doing. You lose hope when you look at their social media, you go in that kitchen and you see your prodigal with the counterfeit. That's what affects your hope. You lose hope when your prodigal call and they start saying, marriage not for me. I don't know. Oh, I'm about to marry the counterfeit. You start listening to what the prodigal is saying. That is what's causing you to lose hope. So you can't, when we're talking about hope deferred, making the heart sick, I can't look at the past. I have to look at what God is showing me in my dreams. I get excited when God give me certain dreams, okay? But I got to keep my eyes focused on what God said, what God is doing, the dreams he's giving me. That's where my eyes are focused on. Because when I'm looking this way and I'm out of the kitchen, right? I'm not worried about, what the prodigal is doing and who he's doing it with because I understand covenant. When you understand covenant, you don't worry about anything. You can stand strong with full confidence in knowing what God said is coming to pass in his timing. I don't have to worry about it, right? But I want everyone to learn, don't place your eyes or your hope. Don't look at, the past. Don't look at what they're doing, what they're saying or not saying. Look at what God is showing you in your dreams or your vision, depending on how God speaks to you. Look at, what God has already done in your love story. Okay. Begin to look at and listen to what God is telling you. This is how we stay in a space of hopeful. I'm confident that God is going to do it for me because I'm looking at what God is seeing. Right? God cannot lie. Right. Walk by faith and not by sight. Exactly. Okay. But so like I said, divine separation, it should only happen one time. But again, because we could lose hope, God will say, okay, I'm gonna let your spouse call you. Y'all, I'm gonna let y'all talk for a few minutes or an hour, however long it be. But then right after that, he put you right back in the divine separation. And that can be confusing. You could be like, wait a minute, like what happened? Right? He just gave you hope. He was just reassuring you, like, listen, I'm still working on this. I'm still cooking this story up, but I had to give you some type of hope so that you wouldn't give up and lose hope and go entertain the counterfeit. Okay. But um so I said divine separation should happen once, but here's the thing, sometimes prodigals will come back, on their own. And whenever your prodigal spouse come back or contact you when God never sent them back, because some of us doesn't really understand this process, you can get in your own way and hurt your own heart by accepting them back without properly, looking at that fruit and making sure, or going back to God and making sure that God, did you send my prodigal back? Did you tell my prodigal to contact me? Right? Majority of the time when your prodigal contacts you or when they come back, majority of the time, some of y'all don't check. You be happy, you know, you be happy that your prodigal, contact you, reached out to you, only for them to play you again, only for them to run the same game on you all over again, only for them to come back, apologize, but yet you later find out the counterfeit's still in the picture, and now you're back hurt again. Well, before you allow your prodigal to come back, check with God. Okay, you gotta have things, you gotta have systems in place. Okay, before they come back, like let's play this out. Let's say your prodigal called you, right? And they're like, hey, how you doing? Then y'all have y'all little pep talk or whatever. Go ahead and cut that short. Be like, hey, I'm busy in the moment. Can I give you a call back? And he or she gonna say yes. When you hang up that phone, that's when you go to God in prayer. You say, God, did you send him or her back, or are they coming back on their own? Why are they here? And you wait for God to answer you. You do not call your prodigal spouse back until you get that answer from the Lord. Okay. But this is not how we usually respond. We usually just go with the flow. Okay. When the prodigals come back. All right. So you can save yourself a lot of heartbreak. Really, you can really save yourself a lot of heartbreak um, in time just by understanding. I say this all the time. God has a standard for his God ordained marriages. And both spouses has to be prepared and ready to step into that promised land. What God is looking for, he won't counterfeits removed. Okay. He's looking for growth in character. He's looking for maturity. He's looking for identity. Okay. In both spouses, he's looking for both spouses to know your purpose. If you are just look at these things when your product will reach out to you, and if you see any of these things missing, that is your clue. Those are your, it's like that's what's speaking for you, letting you know they came back on their own. If a counterfeit is still in the picture, that means you don't continue to entertain them. God would never put his chosen one, his believing spouse, he would never have you competing for a seat that is already yours. No. He would never have you feeling less than or feeling like an option, okay, while your spouse entertain this counterfeit. No. Mm-mm. So if your product will come back and they still got that counterfeit, or for my standards, the other woman, the other man, send them back. It's up to you, because a lot of you say, well, why would God allow? No, 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 no. Why did you allow them to come back? Why did you continue to entertain it after you learned of the counterfeit? We got to take, accountability for our own action. Okay. So know what to look for. Character. Okay. You have to be, they have to grow in character. Counterfeits are, all of them are removed. Okay. We're looking for change behavior. We're looking for identity. We're looking for a purpose. Okay. It's probably some more, but these are like the main things. Okay. So understand. What if you don't know if the counterfeit is in the picture? You will know. Like you will. It's a way to know. So this did now. That's when you gotta. Scripture say you would know them by their fruit. So as you talking to your spouse, because you might have to talk to them for a couple of days. Our intuition is going to tell us if the counterfeit is still in the picture, even if they try to hide them. You're going to pick up on it. Okay. If a counterfeit is still in that picture, your spouse is going to give it away. Okay. They're gonna become inconsistent. Okay. You know the sign. They're gonna become inconsistent. They line clicking all the time. Like just you will know. And then just go and ask God, God, I see my spouse is back. My spouse is calling. They saying all the right things. It looked like the real thing. Are there any counterfeits in the picture? Now I don't know about y'all, but when I go to God and I ask God to expose something or reveal something to me, He does it that same day, that same night. So just keep on looking at that fruit. Um okay, you say I have noticed he has changed and more sensitive. Yes, but that still doesn't mean he's ready. That still doesn't mean he's ready. Okay. Um yeah. Yep. So just know that. It was another one. Let's see. Yeah, so like I was saying, divine separation, it should only happen once. But again, because, we lose hope, because we go in the kitchen, we become disobedient to divine separation, that will, because by you going in the kitchen, depending on, how you show up in this love story, going in the kitchen for you can be you now contacting your spouse, right? And you contacting your spouse, that can cause your spouse, that could cause y'all to come together for a short time, only for it to go right back into a divine separation. Now you're like, what happened? You know, how many divine separation is it, Taquila? Well, it should only be one, but we have to show up the right way, okay, so that it's not more than one divine separation, okay? So just know that. So let's talk about what to look for during divine separation. So I seen your comment, Donna. You was asking me, to go in depth, talk more on the evidence, right? So evidence is what you want to be looking for during divine separation. Okay, now Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, it say, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, right? We already know faith is the word of God. Okay. Um, and basically this scripture is telling you, if you're praying the word of God over your prodigal spouse, I give you an example. If you praying, God created my spouse a clean heart, renew a right spirit within him, right? Or her, that's the word of God. So God will begin to show you evidence. Someone just said their spouse is more sensitive, and they made some changes. So God will begin to show you evidence, that specific prayer is now being answered. You will see, their heart becoming clean. Instead of that heart was cold, it was once cold towards you. Now it's soft. Now it's open, right? um Maybe they had an evil spirit, but now you see they are walking with the Lord now. Okay, you see they are no longer serving the kingdom of darkness. They are now in covenant with God, the kingdom of God, and they have a right spirit. Okay, so we want to begin to look for evidence during this divine separation. And evidence can look like a number of things. You got to just know, you just have to know what to look for, and also remember your prayers. But evidence can look like God's correction. Okay, when God has corrected your prodigal spouse, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to tell you, your prodigal, they're going to come back and tell you like, oh yeah, God was dealing with me concerning this. That's correction. Or they might come back and apologize. Correction. They apologize because God has already been dealing with them and corrected their thinking regarding whatever happened. And so now here comes the apology. Evidence can look like a removal of counterfeits, or even let's say your prodigal was hanging around people that were just bad for them, bad company. Scripture said bad company corrupts good character. And let's say that was one of your prayer point, and now your prodigal, you find out later your prodigal is no longer hanging around this group of individuals. That's evidence. Okay. God is showing you evidence because, again, God is after our hope. He's like, I want you to stay in faith. I want you to keep on believing. Okay. Because according to your belief, it shall be done. So, God, He's showing you evidence here and there. Okay. That He's working. He hear your prayer, because sometimes during this divine separation, we can take this mindset. I don't think God hear me. I think I'm praying wrong, or maybe I'm not praying enough. Okay. Um, and so God, because He know what we're thinking, right? So He would keep showing you evidence. You see that? You see how I answered that prayer regarding, the family and friends being removed? You see how I removed the counterfeits? You see how I sent your spouse back there apologizing, right? Um, Evidence can also look like your spouse getting the revelation of who you are to them. Mhm. When they, begin to get the revelation that you are their husband or you are their wife, okay, they may not immediately come and tell you that. You might hear them saying that to other people, okay? Whatever the case may be, when you hear it, God has stepped in, revealed some things to your prodigal, and now, they got that revelation. Evidence can also look like if you were dealing with an angry prodigal, a prodigal who was full of resentment and bitterness, had a bitter heart. And then let's say a few months go by and you run, you might go in the kitchen or you might run across your prodigal, only for you to see now that anger is gone. You see they look a lot more calmer. They not, like, cause sometimes you can, I don't know about y'all, but I can sense, like, ooh, like I could sense the bitterness on the individual. But now when you encounter them, they softer, they kind. That critical spirit isn't present anymore. Let's say they had let's say they used to look at you with disgust. You know, disgust shows up in our face. But because you've been praying against it, you've been, calling that spirit of disgust to come out of their facial expression. Now, when you look at your prodigal, You don't see that manifesting in their face. So God is now showing you deliverance has taken place. Okay. So God is like, it works. Continue to do it, because there's a lot of Christians who don't believe, in deliverance. So God is like, it works. Do some more, go ahead and hit that, tackle the spirit of lust, or, pride, or whatever the case may be. Okay. Um, More evidence can look like repentance, or remorse, or guilt and shame written all over your prodigal spouse's face. And that's basically letting you know if they're feeling guilt and shame or embarrassed, that's because God has revealed some things to them about you or the situation. And God could have also exposed, like the enemy. Okay. So now they feeling ashamed. They feeling guilty for how they treated you. Okay. That's evidence. All right. Let's say you interact with your prodigal, and now they speaking with a lot of wisdom. Now all they talk about is God. When in the past they didn't they never spoke about God, right? That's evidence. That's evidence. That's evidence that God has moved your prodigal, okay? And make sure it's real. Make sure they're not just putting that on because they know you follow God, and they're not just trying to, put on a show. But if it turned out to be real, that's because God has moved them to a level of repentance, and the fear of the Lord is coming back into your prodigal. Okay. If they're reading the Bible more, praying more, if they seem at peace, and really, I'm gonna take that back, because for the prodigal husband, they will not be at peace until they return back to their God ordained wife. That's just how God strategically designed it. Okay. Um, what else? Let's see. Let's say your prodigal was a people pleaser, didn't have a backbone, wasn't standing up for themselves. And after a few months go past, doing this divine separation, let's say you go in the kitchen, now you see or you hear your prodigal now is standing up for themselves. They speaking up, more, they got boundaries now, that's evidence. That's growth, okay? That's growth, maturity, that's, all of these things, okay? Let's say your prodigal is practicing self-control, okay, and you've been praying and asking God, like, move my spouse into a level of purity, help my spouse to see their value, right? um Y'all give me, look, I'm over here looking at the comments. I'm trying to get out the comments. But maybe you've been praying and asking God, teach my spouse his or her value, and rebuking that lust off of them, right? And now you see they practicing self-control, they practicing self-discipline, they really is trying. That's evidence. Okay. If your spouse comes back or contact you and they are now willing to talk about things, evidence. If your spouse never answered the phone during the breakup or the separation, and they all of a sudden, let's say you call or whatever, and they all of a sudden answer, that's evidence. Okay. I don't care how that conversation go, but if they answer, it's evidence. Okay. That God has been working on that heart. Okay. Um, if they admit that they were wrong, like I said, that's evidence that God has been dealing with them. If you're, let me see, if your spouse, if they are very nice to you, trying to live up to your standards, all of these things can be evidence. Okay, so you got to know how evidence is going to show up for you. Okay, I wanted to throw some of these things out there so that you all can know, like, this is what I mean when I say evidence. Okay, because it can look different, right? Evidence can also be God allowing your enemies who were attacking you now to be at peace with you. So evidence doesn't always have to just show up in your prodigal. Evidence can show up in God vindicating you. Evidence can show up with God now making your enemies be at peace with you. Evidence can be God revealing to you those who were attacking you. And I'm speaking from experience here. But when God revealed to me who my attackers are, it's usually my attackers telling me how they attack me. So make sure you're listening, okay? It blows my mind because I be sitting here like, is that God making you say this, or are you saying that because you want me to know that you are my enemy, right? Whatever the case may be, I heard it, right? So, but that can be evidence, okay? So, evidence is what you want to be looking for, okay, during this divine separation. Evidence give you hope. Evidence, keep your belief, keep you believing in God. A lot of you are, wondering, like some of y'all have asked me, like, Taquila, how are you so confident? Because I see a lot of evidence. I have seen God take. Well, I haven't seen it, but I have heard about it. How God has removed a lot of counterfeits. I have heard about the correction in my prodigal spouse. The stuff God showed me in my dream. So all these things, it just increases my faith. I know nothing is impossible with God. And the things when God showed me the future dreams, I get excited. I don't know about you, I get so excited, okay? Because if he's showing me what is to come in the future, that means it's already done. Okay? It's already done. It's just a matter of when. Okay? Now, what are some things that you should be doing during divine separation? Because what you shouldn't be doing is this. We have work to do. Okay? You have work to do. All right? So, some of the things that you should be doing during divine separation, again, taking the time out to heal, whatever that means for you, whatever happened between you and your prodigal that caused this divine separation, it's time for you to allow God to give you a different perspective. Okay. See, and the reason why I'm saying is because when you get a different perspective, that's it takes away, that layer of hurt because I got a different perspective. I changed my mind concerning, how I was perceiving what happened, right? Because I allowed God to come in and reveal, some information to me that I did not know, right? So we got to get a different perspective. We have to invite God and say, okay, God, help me to understand, why did this happen? Help me to understand why you chose this individual for me. And why did you even reveal to me if this person isn't ready? Go there with God, okay? Let God give you the clarity, okay? I'm serious. Oh, you okay? Go there with him, okay? So that he can begin to talk to you and tell you why, okay? Cause y'all be asking me these questions, and I'm like, ask God, he'll tell you, okay? Cause man, me and God being here talking, woo, we be having a whole conversation, okay? But you want to take the time out to heal your heart, okay? And not just when I say heal your heart, just concerning your prodigal, the things you went through with them, but also I want you to use this time to heal your childhood wounds, heal your mother and father wounds, okay? Heal the wounds that came from your previous relationships. It's time for us to move into doing the work, okay? Heal, get to the bottom of, like search out that rejection. Why you keep getting rejected? Begin to, get curious about it. And then ask God, okay, heal this rejection, heal this abandonment wound, you know, heal the wounds when I was never chosen. We got to move into a level of healing. Another thing that you could be doing during divine separation, forgiving your spouse, forgiving everyone who has hurt you in your past. That's another thing that's going to move you into a whole nother level of healing. And forgiveness it is a decision. It's a decision you make to choose to forgive this person, right? Now, here's the thing: when you make this decision to forgive this individual, the next day, the enemy is going to bring back to your mind what that person done to you, and then you're going to say, "I didn't forgive him," and then you're going to start thinking about the hurt and pain. Listen, don't let the enemy trip you up. When you forgive, when you make the decision to forgive this individual, you're done it. It's clear. Now we just got to move into dealing with, the hurt and pain, okay, that came from this individual. That's what you're really dealing with here. Okay. So forgive your spouse, forgive those who have hurt you in your past. Let it go. Okay. Let it go. I ain't gonna say that. Okay. Another thing we could be doing during divine separation is breaking generational curses. This is another thing God is waiting on us, to learn more about, and to break off of our lives. Because for some of you, a lot of you are carrying heavy, like you got a heavy calling that's on your life, and a lot of you, when I talk to you in our one-on-one session, I can literally see, like where God is taking you are, and I don't know if you realized it yet, but where God is taking a lot of you who is called to ministry, you're going to have to learn how to break generational curses. You're going to have to learn this because the people that God has us, he said, yeah. Okay, now sit down. You're going to have to learn how to break generational curses so that you can teach the people who God is going to assign to you. They're bound. They trying to get free. They don't know why, things are happening in their life. Because here's the thing about generational curses. When you're not aware that you have a generational curse attached to your life, but yet you see how your life is taking a turn, how it's going downhill. You don't understand why you keep getting rejected. You don't understand why your marriages keep ending in divorce. Well, it's a generational curse that's giving the enemy permission to continue to attack your life, right? So God want us during this divine separation time, he want us to learn how to break these generational curses off of our lives, okay? And then once you learn how to do it, now you can teach it to the people who God is sending you to, okay? Another thing, going back to the healing, some of the things that you can do during divine separation, deal with what's in your heart, deal with the anger, deal with with the resentment, deal with that bitterness, deal with why you get offended so quickly. We got to deal with what's in the heart, the issues of the heart. Okay. Tisha say I'm already there. Cool, cool. Another thing that you could be doing during divine separation, I want everyone to get a better understanding of yourself. So if you are suffering from loneliness, okay, figure out why. Figure out, ask yourself, why am I lonely? Don't just take the first answer that pop in your mind. Oh, I miss my spouse. Okay, no. Why are you really lonely? What is that loneliness telling you? Where is the loneliness showing up in your body at? Go deep. What can I do that can help me to no longer feel lonely? Because I don't deal with loneliness. I used to, back in like 2007, but I don't deal with loneliness anymore because I'm in tune with me. I know when my love tank is getting empty. I know, how to meet my own affection need. I know when I'm in purpose, it fills me up with joy. So I don't deal with loneliness, but I need you all to really understand, get a better understanding of yourself, okay, during this time. Some of you are dealing with, these urges that's coming up. And you're like, when God? You're like, come on, God, hurry up. No, no. God wants you to deal with that. He wants you to deal with that urge that keep coming up. Okay. Why is it really coming up? Let's get to the bottom of it. Why is it really coming up? What is it telling you? Okay. Like, get to the bottom of it. You said, I feel that every now and then, but I believe that's him. It could be, but still, even when you feel it, I want you all to really know, why is it there? It shouldn't be there. Loneliness shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be present in your body. The reason why I say that, because scriptures say, remember Paul, he said, I have learned how to be content in every situation. That loneliness, when it comes from God, it should be contentment. It should be joy. You see what I'm saying? Loneliness, that's not supposed to be there. Right. Donna said, I'm always sad, missing my God ordained spouse so much. Yes, that's normal. That's normal. But instead of being sad, missing, your God ordained spouse, how can I get excited about, the new thing God is doing, in our God ordained marriage? You know, I I want you to lean more into the future. I'm happy. It's a good thing that you and your God ordained spouse is in a divine separation. It's good for my spouse to be away from me. You may not like that they're with a counterfeit, but it's good that your spouse is away from you because they have their time of growth and development. This is how I look at it in my mind. This is my spouse time with the Lord. This is his time to grow, to mature, to get all the clarity he may need concerning me and where we're going, right? So when that sadness hit your life or hit you, begin to like turn it around. Like, no, it is good. This is good for my spouse. He need this. He need to become his best self. And if this is what it requires, so be it, right? I need time, with myself. I told God, I said, God, I said, don't allow this to come together until I see X, Y, and Z. But the X, Y, and Z was the things I wanted to see happen in me, not him. God already know, my standards with that. But I was like, until these things happen in my life, don't let us come together in marriage, okay? So, um, you said I just want him away from the counterfeit. Yes, but listen, I get what you're saying. You just want him away from the counterfeit. But what if he left the counterfeit and came to you, but he was a mess? He had a hole in his heart. What if he left all counterfeits and said, I just want to be with you, but he cannot lead you in this marriage? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes, them being with the counterfeit is actually helping your spouse to become a better person. You may not see it, you may not understand it, but the more they with the wrong one, it helps them to figure out, like, it really causes you to sit down and take a look at yourself. When I was with this counterfeit, and this before I knew anything about a God ordained love story, but when I was with this one counterfeit, because I knew, I said, this is all wrong. I just knew it, just from how I was being treated, how I felt inside. But then in my long time, I began to ask myself, why you keep going back to it? Why? I'm like, I'm telling myself he ain't doing this, he not doing this. Why Taquila, right? I began to deal with me. And as I began to ask myself these type of questions, it helped me to really understand, why I was choosing that, why I was selling it for less, why I was lowering my standards, right? I had fears in me. I had fears, that if I let go of the prodigal, I mean, not the prodigal, if I let go of this counterfeit, I'm not going to have the family I always wanted. Well, here's the thing, holding on to that counterfeit never gave me the family I always wanted. Okay. So, prodigals being with the counterfeit, it serves a purpose. You never know how God is moving and dealing with your prodigal. Okay. You never know. But I want everyone to get a better understanding of yourself. Learn your love language. Learn, when that affection need shows up within you. I need you to identify it as your affection need, or for the man that's tuning in, um, you all know you want to be respected as a man, but when you feel disrespected, what is your first response? Instead of that being your first response, okay, what are the things I could put in place, so that I don't revert, to doing, maybe some self-sabotaging things, right? Or if let's say for the man, stand on the man here, um, because they need to be respected. That's how they feel love. So if you're not, getting respect right now, how can you begin to fill yourself up with respect? How can you do it? The same way how I asked the women, how can you meet your own affection need? Well, for the man, how can you, meet your own respect need as a man? We have to know this. Okay. Another thing we could be doing during divine separation is, oh, this is a good one. Just for everyone. You can only answer this if you actually had contact with your spouse. So you actually talk to them, whether it was face to face or over the phone. But I want you to begin to work on improving the things your spouse complained about to you. So whatever your spouse had a problem with, whatever your spouse brought to your attention that they said they didn't like, they wanted you to change, and maybe you didn't agree with them. Write it down and ask yourself, how can I improve? How can I get better in this particular area? Okay. Scriptures say in Isaiah 43, verse 19, it says, see, I am doing a new thing. The new thing is working on improving whatever my spouse complained about. So if they complained about finances, maybe they say you spend too much. Okay, how can I reduce my spending? How can I, if you don't want to change your spending habits, okay, well, how can I make more money so that how I shop is not affecting my spouse? You see what I'm saying? Or maybe maybe your spouse complained about the house. Okay, maybe it's time to take an organization class. I don't know, or go on YouTube, watch some organization videos. I don't know. Whatever it is your spouse has complained to you about, okay, write it down. Stop overlooking it. Stop, well, he need to work on this or she need to work on it. No, let's deal with you. How can you improve? How can you improve in this area? Y'all heard me, I think it was yesterday or maybe it was the day before yesterday, and I said when I was on live, I said I'm trying to work on my mouth. I already know. I already know I gotta change. My spouse love language is words of affirmation. So I can't be harsh. I can't be too direct. You see what I'm saying? So I gotta work on that, you know? So Lord. You see what I'm saying? So I gotta learn how to talk softly, because I can be very direct and I can be sharp with these words, just but I'm like, okay, okay, Lord, I hear you. I can work on improving in this area. So we want to write down what are the things my spouse complained about or brought to my attention, and how can I make it better? How can I, just get 1% better in this particular area? Okay. Maybe he even said, maybe your spouse was complaining about you never get him space. Okay. Well, what were some of the things that I was doing that was causing my spouse to feel like they wasn't having space, and how can I start giving my spouse space? Like really go there with yourself. Okay. Oh, here's another one. Another thing I want a lot of women to do during divine separation is get in control of your emotions. Okay. We talk a lot about the prodigal husbands being emotionally unavailable, but we have a lot of believing wives who are emotionally unavailable, emotionally unstable. We got to get in control of our emotions. Okay. Got to learn how to control your emotion. Okay. Yeah. Got to get in control of them. Okay. Sit with these feelings, sit with your emotion, begin to identify, okay, I know I feel this anger, but why is it coming up? If you go in the kitchen, you see something, and you about to, and your first response is put the phone down, get you some paper, get a pen, and go ahead and journal, write out what you feeling. Okay, get it all out on this paper before you pick that phone up, or send a text, or go off. You see what I'm saying? We got to get in control of these emotions. Okay, right. Godly Beauty said, that's what the Lord has been allowing me to do more, control my emotions. Yes. Yes. I have to, because I have another side of me that I be like, I can't let that out. You see what I'm saying? I can't let it out. So I have to eat whatever I see, whatever I hear. I have to sit with it, and I have to, I gotta sit with it. I love to write, so I'm always writing. I'm always journaling, my thoughts. But we got to get in control of our emotion. We can't be lashing out. We can't just assume, what I see is for real. That could be fake. It could be fake. And according to scripture, it's likely to change any day now. Do you think a lot of men out there are prodigal? Oh yeah. I when I was mentoring the successful single mothers, when we were dealing with absent fathers, deadbeat dad, I didn't have the language then of prodigal, but when I was in that community, because I thought it was just me who was dealing with absent fathers, but when I actually got in the community and I seen how many absent fathers it was and how they were running from fatherhood, I said this seemed like it's the whole world. It was crazy, but I already knew. I say this is the enemy. It's the enemy, trying to remove our man, the fathers, out of their position. If the enemy can get the fathers out of the home, if the enemy can remove the husband, from the wife, there's no protection, there's no identity. Okay, the enemy can now, that's a broken home, that's a broken family. Okay, mission accomplished, right? So yeah, I do believe it's a lot of prodigals out here. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we got to get in control of our emotions. Okay, adjust your attitude. A lot of us, we got to adjust those attitudes. Okay, for some of us, we're gonna have to just get rid of certain attitudes. Okay. Um. Yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of certain attitudes. Okay. If you are emotionally unavailable, I need you to begin to identify. Okay, well, why am I emotionally unavailable? you know Begin, and that really comes from what you're not dealing with. It's coming from the hurt and pain. Okay. mm, yeah. You said, do you think part of prodigals running away is because of the example they have from their father's mother? It could be they running away, not the one, not the Jonah, because they running from their purpose. But I believe a lot of prodigals who are running from God, um I believe they have a hole in their heart, because when you take a look at what makes a person go, leave the kingdom of God and go over to the kingdom of darkness. Number one, you're lacking identity. That's number one. And then number two, you don't have a sense of purpose. You're looking for where you belong. But all of that speaks to orphan spirit. It goes right back to what I was just talking about. If the enemy is successful in removing the fathers out of the home, if the enemy is successful in removing that husband, the fathers out of the children's lives, orphan spirit comes upon the family or the children, because fathers give identity, fathers protect, fathers, are the ones who tell their daughters, like the father set the tone in the daughter's life, right? And basically supposed to be, letting his daughter know, you are valuable, you're worthy, you're good enough. Same thing with the son. But if that's gone, if it's missing, orphan spirit, children don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, you begin to look for, you begin to, look for things. Well, let me wear this name brand. Okay, I'm gonna become this name brand. Or well, let me go and join this gang. I'm gonna get identity from being a part of this gang. You see what I'm saying? So I believe a lot of prodigals have a lot of hurt and pain in their heart. A lot of things happen in people's childhood. You know, people been molested, raped, abandoned, abused, and because for a lot of us, we don't go, to therapy. We don't go really to, a lot of men, and then that's another thing too. A lot of our men, just from how they were raised, They were raised, to suppress their own feelings and emotion. That can make you a prodigal. It's like you're basically, it's like the enemy put a muffle around their mouth. Don't express how you feel. Don't, don't express, when people do this to you, or say this to you, just take it. You a man. Boys don't cry. You know, so I could go deep in this, but I think, yeah, there's a lot of prodigal, and I think they running because of what they're not dealing with, because of whatever they witnessed in the home, because of maybe their father or mother wasn't there, or maybe they was there but they didn't set a good example, or they wasn't affirmed, or loved correctly. It could be a lot of things. Do you think it's still okay to have a healthy relationship with my mother-in-law during divine separation? I mean, ask the Lord, ask God what He feel about it. I could think it, but if God is like, no, if He don't want you in contact with, it sounds like you married your spouse's mother, take that to the Lord. Okay, I can't really, I shouldn't have the final say so. Take that to the Lord. But say y'all question to the end, because y'all gonna make me get off of my notes, get off of my teaching. But yeah, we have to begin to work on becoming emotionally stable. We got to get a better control of our emotion. Stop lashing out. Stop assuming the worst. Stop, picking this phone up, making that your first response, and start picking up this paper and a pen, or call up. If you're gonna call anyone, call up your best friend and say, "Girl, I need your ear. I need to get something off my chest." Okay, instead of calling the one who you want to go off on. Okay, we got to get better at controlling our emotions. Okay, because that, and I say that because you just got to get better at it. But two, that can be a reason why your prodigal is haven't contacted you. It really good. The way how you showing up, like if you're someone who your emotions all over the place, or you just lash out or whatever, you never know. Maybe they had a mother who responded that way. And now when your prodigal see you responding that way, maybe it triggers them to now go back to think about how their mom would, used to respond in the past, and they like, oh no, that's scary. It's scary, you know. So make sure you're not showing up that way. Um, Another thing to work on during divine separation is grow stronger spiritually. So learn God's voice if you still haven't figured out, or learn God's voice. Grow stronger in the word. Okay. We have to become people of the word. But I need you to grow stronger spiritually. Another thing, begin to take heed to what, oh, no, no, no. I'm going to say that for the last one. I want you to also listen to what God is saying to you. Okay. If God is telling you, because I had released a dream, I think it was last month. If God is telling you, leave your spouse and get to that promised land, listen to what God is saying. Okay. Listen to what He is saying. Leave. Get your mind off of what they're doing. Stop checking and get to the promised land. Focus. Okay. This is what God wants us to be doing during divine separation, focusing on what God is telling us and getting to that promised land. Okay. God is going to deal with your prodigal. But in the meantime, God is going to continue to push the believing spouse forward. God's like, I'm not stopping in this love story. No, it's still moving forward. So get to that promised land. Um, Another thing too, when we talk about listening to what God is saying to you during divine separation, again, I want you to listen to, if God begin to give you, if God began to give you, if He began to advocate on your spouse's behalf. So let's say you're dealing with a certain situation, that happened in the past, and you just can't seem to get over it, right? And you take it to the Lord. Okay, God is going to begin to advocate on your spouse's behalf if you are interpreting, this whatever happened the wrong way. So God will begin to advocate, and He will tell you your spouse was manipulated, or your spouse really does love you. He will advocate on your on your spouse's behalf, because God is all about, he's about that reconciliation, and he doesn't want y'all to stay in this divine separation. So God will speak on your prodigal's behalf, okay, and he'll speak on your behalf to your prodigal. So God would come if you came into agreement with that mindset. Oh, I'm an option to my spouse. God would come in and say, no, you was always first choice. You are the God ordained believing spouse, right? If you are thinking, my spouse doesn't like me or love me, God would come in and advocate. He does love you. This is what he's dealing with, okay? But you got to be listening, okay? And I know for some of you, you might be like, it's hard for me um to believe this, right? Because maybe your prodigal has been quiet all this time. Listen, when God said, it is so. When God revealed it, it's true. Okay? Period. Okay? Amy said, you promise God is dealing with my prodigal. Yes. I, don't get me started. Your prodigal, God is dealing with him. Okay? He's dealing with him. Um, so listen to whatever God is saying, okay, to you. This is the last thing. It's the last thing. This is a good one. During divine separation, take heed to what your spouse is and isn't saying to you during this time. So, as women, because we like to overthink, we like to read into stuff, we need to stop doing that. Take heed to what your spouse is saying and isn't saying. So if your spouse isn't reaching out to you, that is their response. Period. They don't want to talk. Period. Okay? If you reached out to your spouse and they never responded back, that is a response. They either not ready to have a conversation with you concerning whatever you reached out to them about, whatever the case may be. That's their response. Okay. If your spouse has said to you they just want to be friends, they want to take things slow, okay, meet your spouse right there. Because you have to keep in mind, I know some of you like, I ain't about to be there, I ain't about to be him or her friend. Listen, because God is the one who is guiding, leading, and directing this love story. So if your spouse, where your spouse is at, is on, let's take this slow, let's be friends, be their friend. Meet the person right where they at. It's a reason why they're saying this. Okay. They might be emotionally unavailable. They might be, fear. Okay. But meet them right where they are at. If they talking about let's be friends, okay. If they say let's say, you don't say let's get married. No, okay, because it's gonna cause y'all to be clashing, and it might cause the prodigal to run. Okay, but listen to whatever your spouse is and isn't saying. Okay, if they're avoiding you, if they're ignoring you, that's a response. Again, they ain't ready to talk. Or something going on in their mind or in their heart concerning you that God has to now come in and bring correction to. Okay. Don't blame it on the counterfeit. Oh, my spouse ignored me because of the counterfeit. No, your spouse is a grown woman or man, okay, able to make their own decision. If they choose not to pick the phone up and call back, or if they choose not to answer your call text, they made their decision. Make them live with their consequences, okay? If your spouse says something like, oh, I got to work on myself, I'm working on myself right now, okay, understand what that means. This individual is probably trying to find themselves, okay? Give them time to work on themselves, okay? But I want you all to listen to whatever your spouse is saying and isn't saying, okay, during this time. Whatever they say, believe it. Don't insert your own belief. Don't, put what you want to believe right there. No. Okay. They said this or they showing up this way, I'm gonna believe it. Okay. And I'm still moving forward. This the whole thing during divine separation, you are still moving forward. This love story never stops. The enemy might throw a curveball in there. He might throw a counterfeit in there. So what? It never stopped. It's still moving forward. Okay. And sometimes God would allow the enemy to, keep planting those little, um, the little, little, I want to call them seeds or whatever. And God would allow the enemy to do that, only for God to come in and flip everything, flip it in your favor. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. But know that during this time, God is correcting needs to be what needs to be corrected. He is exposing what needs to be exposed. He is revealing to your spouse who you are to them. Okay, excuse me. And this love story is moving forward. Okay. So with that, now you can pose your questions. Okay, we're gonna open up a Q&A. All right. And again, remember, our dream interpretation class is starting May 31st, Wednesday, May 31st. Okay. And the link is at the bottom. Just sign up at godordainedmarriages.com/dream class. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. Cloud Air said, I think my non-prodigal thinks I rejected her. I didn't reject her. She just put me in an ultimatum, which I think was controlling. Okay. So I'm taking you didn't respond well to her ultimatum. And so y'all in divine separation right now. And if you think it's controlling, have you talked to her about that? I'll leave it at that. If you have a dream that your God ordained spouse is with another woman, does that mean he is with a counterfeit in real life? That could mean several different things. See, this is why I don't like interpreting dreams on live, because I need everything that was going on in that dream so that I can understand why God showed you this woman showing up in a dream with your God ordained spouse. But I'll tell you this, that could represent a spirit spouse, that could represent a counterfeit enemy, okay? It could mean your God ordained spouse is with another woman in real life. Okay. But again, you got to look at that whole entire dream and take that whole entire dream into context. Okay. And then take that dream to the Lord and ask God, what's the final interpretation of this dream? Okay. What if the prodigal says they want to be friends and that the two of you will never be more than friends? Well, what did God say? I don't care what. Listen, the key word in here is prodigal. Prodigals are operating with a reprobate mind. They don't have their senses. They can't discern their right from the left. So, with that information, you think I'm about to listen to what's coming out of this prodigal mouth? Now, however, if your prodigal is saying, let's be friends, and they telling you we will never be more than friends, but we could just be cool right now. Okay, I'll be your friend. Okay, but also okay, because you gotta, because sometimes I'm just gonna say this. Sometimes they'll throw that friend out there and then try to get some too. So you want to make sure you know you are also defining what it means to be a friend. Okay, spell out to your prodigal. Okay, well, this is my definition of a friend. Okay, and this is exactly what you and I are going to be. But also, when we talk about your prodigal saying the two of you will never be more than friend, yeah, whatever. Because see, you don't know what I'm over here praying to the Lord. You don't know what God has been showing me in my dream. You don't know that God has the last and final say so. So God has the final say so over this. And if God has revealed to you that this is your husband, yeah, this is your husband, then it is so. You don't got to prove it to him. Just wait until God correct him. Wait until God reveal more of your value, because it's a reason why He's placing you in this friend zone and saying all of this. We would never be more than just friend. God has to correct something about his sight. Something is the way how he's thinking about this love story, or it could be how he feel about himself or the things he experienced in the past. But he's a prodigal. That's what they say. Okay, don't ask me any dreams. Okay, I'm not going to answer any questions concerning y'all dreams. Okay, sign up to the dream interpretation class, because my job as a prophet is to teach you all. One of my job is to teach you how to interpret your own dreams. Because when you know how to interpret your own dreams, you can locate the voice of God. Okay, that's my job. One of my roles as a prophet. So ask me other questions outside of the dream. Is your promised land always where your spouse live? No, your promised land is wherever God tells you your promised land is at. Your promised land is so you see how I have God ordained marriage, right? This is my promised assignment. This is also my promised land. However, I'm in transition right now to the promised place. See what I'm saying? So your promised land is connected to your promised assignment, okay, and that promised place. It probably don't have anything to do with your spouse, okay? It comes from God. God is the one who revealed where the promised land, the assignment place is at. Oh, okay. You said I couldn't talk to her about it because she cut me off after I didn't react well to the ultimatum. Yeah. Well, yeah, because she probably felt. See, y'all have to talk. Y'all have to talk because it could be a lot going on. She could be interpreting the way how you were pursuing her. She could be interpreting it all wrong. Like, you don't have marriage on the mind, or maybe, you know, it could be in different ways how she's interpreted, but y'all have to talk. And she needs to know when it comes down to ultimatum, you view it as controlling. She needs to know this so that she could change, and not give you these ultimatums, and be able to like really sit down and communicate how she's feeling towards you. But if y'all not in a divine separation, go ahead and reach out and talk to her. Yeah, some prodigals. I'm not even gonna uh, put it on prodigals. A lot of people don't know how to be a friend. See, being a friend starts with you being a friend with yourself. Okay. When I learned how to be a friend of me, right, and then I'm being a friend to others, I can be a friend to my spouse. So, with your prodigal, um, it just sounds like you just got to teach him, how to be your friend, or what it means to be a friend. And really, if he's in a prodigal state of mind, God is going to teach him that as he's encountering him. How do you know if God is saying move? You're going to say it. Or if you don't hear the audible voice, um, certain things will just happen. Like sometimes when God is saying move, you could have prayed and said, God, I'm ready to move, however, I'm stuck in this lease. And then the next following week, now you are being released from your lease. That can be God saying move, you know, or you hit with a sudden eviction. That can be God saying it's time to move, okay? Or, he will show you in a dream, or it's different ways. You have to know how God speaks to you, okay? And okay, so Handpick said my prodigal has mentioned he doesn't want to be any more than friends in the past. Sometimes I think he says that because his reprobate mind is not allowing him to realize his love for me. He can also be saying that too because maybe he liked you a lot. Maybe he realized he really liked you or even loved you and he's afraid. You see what I'm saying? See, with a man, okay, when what he always desired and prayed for when it show up and it's looking him dead in his face, that can scare him and cause him to pull away. It can cause him to move backwards, like move away from you, get distant, and say things like, you know, I don't want us to be more than friends. It would make him respond that way because that fear, is showing up. And if he doesn't, feel like he's ready, he know he got some things going on within himself that he need to deal with, he'll say stuff like that. So just don't listen to what he's saying on this part. Just know if God said that's your husband, that's your husband. It's gonna end in marriage. But right now, you might have to play that friend role to him. But however, even though I say that, you define what it means to be your friend. Okay. And I say that because I'm very loyal. Okay. I don't believe in that having friends around me and you disloyal, cut you off. Okay. So I would teach my spouse, okay, you want to be friends? Okay. I'm looking for loyalty. I tell the truth to my friends. So I need you to tell me that I need you to not be afraid to tell me truth back. Right. This is my definition of being a friend. You see what I'm saying? So they sometimes you just got to teach people how to be your friend. Okay, I'm lost. Proverbs girl said, I'm at peace knowing that my marital prayers will not be answered. Why is that? Why your prayers not being answered? I'll continue to intercede for others since my prayers for others do get answered. Okay, it's something that's going on here. Why do you think your prayers for your marriage will not be answered? How do you know when your prodigal is about to return? It's not about looking, for the signs in your prodigal to know that they're about to return. Here's how you know that you are getting close to your love story, like coming together. And I'm focusing in on the believing spouse. Excuse me. So here's how you know your marriage promise is about to come together. Okay, because you have already moved into a level of healing. You know your identity. You have stepped into your purpose, calling, assignment. Okay. Um, you have your relationship built with God, right? So you have your prayer life. You are obedient to God's laws and commandments, right? You know, God has moved you into the promised place. You see what I'm saying? When you begin to see all these things taking place in your life, you already know, oh, it's getting close. It's getting close. And I said it this way because I don't want you all looking, to your spouse. Look at yourself. That would determine how close you are getting to this love story coming around, okay, coming together. Because God is waiting on both parties to get ready, not just one, both. Okay. And your prodigal can't return if you're not ready. That's why I said it that way. So, and this is why God, you will hear God speaking to us and saying, forgive your spouse. They can't come back even if your spouse is ready. If you still got resentment, hurt, and pain in your heart towards them, they can't come back. God won't release them. He'll continue to deal with you. Okay, God told me He would break my God ordained spouse, and in that moment, I felt it was with his dad because he was sick for a long time. His dad was sick. 3 months later, my God ordained spouse died. I think that was part of God's wrath over my God ordained spouse. Okay, so you said God told you He would break your God ordained spouse, not kill him, right? And if your spouse has died, that wasn't God who took his life, that was the enemy who took his life. I need you all to understand this. We're guaranteed 80 years. If your spouse passed before they reached the age 80, that was the enemy who took his life. So understand, you said God said He would break him. He was going to break him down, okay? Hit rock bottom. God didn't say He was going to take his life. That was the enemy. And then God, and I'm just speaking from my own wisdom, like when you get to a certain level in this love story, and because I'm always asking God for answers, and I got all these questions, God would never reveal your God ordained spouse knowing that they are going to die, okay? Um, before they even get in this marriage. I'm saying it because I know a lot of you are going to be emailing me, Taquila, what if they die? I'm about to go ahead and address this right now. You got to understand, when God reveals to you that this is your spouse, that means it is getting close for the believing spouse and that prodigal spouse. Is getting close for y'all to step into purpose. Not any purpose, God's purpose. It is a purpose God is after, that He wanted these two individuals to come together for His purpose to do in this world. So God won't, He got to protect them. He got to protect the spouse. He has to. So um, just understand that. God is going to expose whoever needs to be exposed in this love story. Um, Melissa said, my God ordained spouse, family, friends, and especially his mother has a strong hold on him. Will he go? Will he go through process of removal of enemies, family that was enemy to love story? Will his mother be exposed? Yeah. So God is going to expose every enemy. But it also sounds like your God ordained spouse. You call it stronghold. I see it as idolatry. He's idolizing, his family and friends, what they think, all this stuff, and they got that stronghold on him. So God is gonna break him down. God is gonna remove the enemies. But the enemies, I'm gonna tell you this: sometimes some of those enemies are going to move to being at peace with you, or however way they showing up in this love story. If they attacking you, God is gonna move some of those enemies until now they are at peace with you. They're gonna stop attacking you. They're gonna stop speaking against you. Okay. So some of the people who you first known as enemy, they may still be there, but they are no longer an enemy. Okay. But yeah, he's gonna expose, the enemy that's in his mom. Mm-hmm. You gotta worry about it. What are some signs the one you thought was your God ordained spouse is actually a counterfeit? Well, I have a question for you. Why do you think the one who you thought was your God ordained spouse is a counterfeit? Answer that. Could you get to the promised place before the promised land? it all depends on how God moves you and where you at. You could. Mhm. How do prodigals fight their love feelings for their God ordained spouse? By denying how they feel for you. But it's not really them fighting their feelings for the God ordained believing spouse. It's they don't feel good enough. They know how they feel about. I'm gonna speak to you. Your prodigal spouse know how he feels about you. However, when he looks at you, this for everyone. I'm speaking to her, but this for everyone. When your prodigal look at you, see your standards, see, the type of woman you are, your character, they looking at your character, your boundaries, your standards, your relation with the Lord. When they look at all of this, and then when they look at themselves, if it's missing, they're not going to feel good enough. Amy, I'm answering your question. They're not going to feel good enough. Okay. So, and in them not feeling good enough, it's going to show up, look to you like they fighting their feelings for you. It's really they just feel like they don't deserve you, right? This is why I said they can't come back without growth and development, without a level of healing. Okay, they prodigals and believing spouse both has to feel good enough for this promise. They both has to know they deserve, okay, what God is presenting to them. But yeah, the fight and the feeling is they they don't feel like they deserve it. It's too good to be true. They got limited beliefs standing in their way. Can you give an example of what confirmation from God might look like? Oh man, right here, I could be a confirmation from God. Just saying something you probably said to God last night. Confirmation from God can look like God. The way how God confirms things to me, he could confirm it through another prophet, but he know me. He know I don't listen to everybody, so he gotta confirm it through someone I know is a true prophet from God, and I really listen to him. Another confirmation can be it can be like your children could say something, and you could be like, how did they know to say that, right? But it can be a confirmation. Okay, confirmation is however way God chooses to confirm it to you. Confirmation can be, let's say you pray to God and say, God, if this is my spouse, have him or her do X, Y, and Z. And then next thing you know, they're doing X, Y, and Z, right? That can be a confirmation. I don't want any part of my God ordained spouse family. I forgive them. Am I wrong? No, but I'm gonna tell you this. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'm gonna tell you this. Before your love story come together, God gonna move you into a level of healing and forgiving. Like I know you said you forgive them, but your heart, you saying now, I don't want any part of his family. But when God is, I don't want to say get done with you because he'll never be done with you. But before this promise come together, you're gonna have a change of feelings. Okay, you're gonna have it because when you see what God, does in your life, when you see how God brings correction to your prodigal and their family, it's gonna do something to you. Just know that. Oh, okay, okay. I see what you're saying now. Y'all hear that? So don't be emailing me, asking me, will my spouse die? She said, God told me he will break my, I think she's God ordained spouse. In that moment, I thought that was related to my God ordained spouse's dad because he was sick for years. 3 months later, my God ordained spouse dad died. So it was the dad who died. I think that was part of God's wrath. Yeah. Pulling away is a sign of divine separation. He said, how do you know you're in a divine separation or this person is just pulling away? He says he loves me very much, so I'm confused. You don't have to be confused, okay? No. Remember, we just talked about this. Mm-mm. Divine separation can look like your spouse or whoever this person is pulling away from you. Divine separation can look like being ghost, okay? Being rejected, right? Now, let's talk about this last comment. He said he loves you very much, but yet he's pulling away from you. My question to him would be, well, what is love? What is your definition of love? Because if you love me so much, why are you pulling away from the very thing you love? It don't make sense. It don't add up. That would be my question to him. And that, because I asked that question, would give me clarity on, I don't think this individual know what love is because he's pulling away from it. There you go. Doc and Queen Ministry. That's Wayne. He said, nailed it. Oftentimes he don't know it. There you go. Hmm. My God ordained spouse blocked me for rebuking the spirit of pride. That was the enemy. That's the enemy in your God ordained spouse. My God ordained spouse blocked me for rebuking the spirit of pride in him. How do I determine if we are in divine separation or is it just blocking in communication that needs to be removed? This is another way how divine. Okay, so this is what we about to do. Okay, so we about to go ahead and we're gonna bring some clarity to this. Divine separation can look like pulling away, being ghost, your spouse disappearing, block, okay, for whatever reason, okay? I need you all to understand this. Divine separation, okay? It can look like any of these things. Now you said, how do I determine if we are in divine separation? But that's it. Or is it just blocking in communication? Well, here's the thing. Number one, you have to determine if you are dealing with a prodigal spouse, okay? That's number one. Is this person serving God? Do they still believe in God? Don't just listen to their words, look at their fruit, okay? Number two, I know you said when your spouse blocked you for rebuking the spirit of pride. How did you go about doing that? How did you rebuke that spirit of pride? Did you do it in a disrespectful way that caused him or her? I think you're a woman. Did you do it in a disrespectful way that caused them to block you? Like we got to begin to look at certain things that's going on here, but you have to start with number one: am I dealing with a prodigal? And then number two, if you are dealing with a prodigal, okay, it's divine separation. If you're not dealing with a prodigal, I have to now look at how I rebuke that spirit of pride, to my spouse's face. Because it probably came across as disrespectful. Or maybe you're proud. Maybe your spouse, I don't know, it could have just caused them to feel some kind of way, you know. So you gotta look at a few things. Oh, okay. So this is what I asked her. I was asking you I was asking Proverbs girl why she believed God isn't going to answer her prayers regarding her marriage. And you said no progress in 5 years. Wait a minute. Let me check my connection. Is the connection good, y'all? Let me check. Okay, it's good. Okay, no progress in 5 years. Prayer and fasting for 5 years. yields nothing. However, intercession prayers do. Okay, you said no progress in 5 years, but yet you've been praying and fasting for 5 years. Okay, what are you basing the progress on? Are you basing this progress you're looking for off of, just what you're looking for, or are you determining progress based upon what God's standard, like what He is doing? You see what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that, because you say progress, I say evidence, right? We can have in our mind, well, until I see counterfeits removed, I'm not gonna believe, God hear my prayers. And God can be correcting this person. God can send this person back. They apologize, and now they're doing right by you. But because this counterfeit is right here, we could be stuck on just looking at that and missing all the other stuff that God, has done in our prodigals, right? So, you know, it's hard for me to believe that there's no progress in 5 years. Yeah. And Melissa, God sent the believing spouse to the prodigals. God knew they was gonna run. He knew this. But he sent us there, for some of these prodigals, they learned lessons, okay, just by us being sent, okay? But he sent us there because that was their shaking. That was God basically telling your prodigal, it's time for you to grow up. It's time for you to step in purpose. It's time for you to change your ways, right? That's why he sent us. God already knew that there was going to be rejection. They was going to run. He already knew this. But he had to send, his chosen one to the prodigal to let them know it's your time. It's like a I see it like God tagged them into the game. Like, okay, come on, it's your time. It's time to get up. Time to get ready. Okay, it's time to get ready for school. Come on. So, mhm. My husband has left 3 times in 10 years of marriage, always back to the bar, drugs, and the woman. So those prayer points, right? So we're going to pray against addiction. Um, we're going to pray against lust. We're going to ask God to reveal His identity, heal. Okay, whatever's causing him to run. It's a lot. You say he always leaves his children. Okay, so we have rejection of the children. He got some fears around fatherhood. I have never been able to lead him, but wonder if I heard wrong. You married? What you mean you heard wrong? Wonder if you heard that God said He's going to restore your marriage. I believe you probably heard right. It's just all about knowing what to pray for. Um, but and then prayer not enough. Okay, if I had to say, what is the biggest thing that has brought about change in the God ordained love story? Yes, prayer. But outside of prayer, the next biggest thing I believe that brought about change in my love story is my own personal growth. It's how I change. Okay, like, and I'm not talking about. I wish y'all would have seen me when I was in the successful single mother community. I probably look like a whole totally new person to my spouse. Me changing for the better proved everyone wrong. It cleared my name. What they said I couldn't do, I showed them I can do it. I showed the enemy you were wrong about me. You see what I'm saying? This why I be on y'all about we have work to do. Sometimes prodigals are showing up this way because of what they think they know about you. Okay? The lies in their head. Because concerning you. So God would tell you, okay, do this, work on this, start this. And then when you do it, you proving the enemy's wrong. Okay. But coming back to you, Hillary, you know, he got some addictions going on. He got that lust going on. He's lacking identity. He's running from his position as a husband and father. He don't know who he is as a man. He got some voids going on in his heart. You got to pray him through it. But also, I want you to get that book, Love and Respect, over on Amazon. Read it and then implement what it's saying in the book. The father died, not the God ordained spouse. Okay. They went ghost and never heard from again after being together over a year. Was I love you on one Monday and poof be gone by that Friday. Haven't heard from them since. Is this a pattern? If that's a pattern in this person, then you gotta begin to ask yourself why I keep falling for the same, you know, pattern. Why I keep falling for it, allowing this individual to do this. My God ordained spouse told me in the past he had a girlfriend, but in reality that wasn't true. Do you think he told me that to reject me or said that out of fear from pursuing me? I don't I can't say. I can't say. If he said he had a girlfriend, it probably was true. I can't say for a fact if it was or wasn't. Just know if he said that, okay. How did he respond afterward? Well, you said so it sounded like he rejected you. So you said, do you think he told me that to reject me or said that out of fear from pursuing me? So I'm assuming just from reading your question, he's not pursuing and there's some rejection going on. He had his own reason for telling you he has a girlfriend. Um, just leave it at that. Okay, leave it at that. You have to take whatever you went through with that man to the Lord so that God can begin to bring truth to it. Okay. No. Did I say that? Did I say that? No. I did not say the chosen ones are promised 80 years of life. No. Scripture talks about we, God's children, are promised 80 years of life. Okay? I got to find the scripture. Let me pull it up. Okay, go to Psalms chapter 90, verse 10. The days of our life are 70 years or perhaps 80. There you go. Psalms chapter 90, verse 10. Not chosen ones. No. So between 70 and 80, if you die anywhere before 70, that was the enemy who took your life. Mm-hmm. Amy like he doesn't know what Wayne. This is so funny. Amy said, let's talk. Oh Lord. My prodigal grandma died from cancer. That's an inside joke, y'all. My prodigal grandma died from cancer, sign of wrath. That could be a curse. She probably had a generational curse of cancer on her life, didn't know it, didn't know to break it, and the enemy took her life. She gave the enemy permission. Yeah, that could be it too. Is that maybe he isn't pulling away from his God ordained spouse? Maybe he isn't ready to do what God wants him to do. Yeah, it could be that. It could be he could be feeling intimidated, by the spouse. It could be a lot of reasons. It could be a lot of reasons. Why are you thinking this thought? See what I mean? Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Why are you thinking this thought? You think I'd be sitting over here thinking that? What if the God ordained spouse were to get the counterfeit pregnant? Hagar and Ishmael. That's what if. That's gonna be the outcome. I mean, and I'm joking, but I don't entertain those thoughts. It don't even matter to me. Like, it really don't. Like, I be over here thinking like, I don't even think that though. I really don't. But if it happened, oh well, it's still ending in marriage because this is what God said. It's just a child in the picture now. She said, "Eat your Wheaties." Let's get moving. Oh, okay. Yeah. See, yeah, and then you gotta understand your husband's language. So she said, "I was told my husband made a post today saying he's physically under the weather and he just came to the realization he needs to reinvent himself, whatever that means." Yeah, that could mean a lot of different things, but if that's what he said, okay, let him reinvent himself, okay? However way that look. Because what he doesn't realize is that if his reinvention doesn't line up with God's how God want to restore him, okay, he's just going to be going through this process for nothing. Like, well, not really nothing. He's just going to be God is going to let him think he's reinventing himself, but really God is going to step in and take him through God's reinvention. Okay, it's just a whole restoration process. He going through something. He worked. That's another way of saying I'm working on myself. He's getting himself together. He's reinventing himself. He's not ready. She said, "What if my God ordained spouse still answered the counterfeit phone call? He's not ready." Let me tell y'all this revelation. I was trying to do the video today earlier when I was out, but it just never got done. Here's the thing, okay? Y'all don't have to worry about these counterfeits. You really don't, okay? They serve their purpose, okay? But God has been speaking to me about the counterfeits, not the counterfeits, the prodigals putting away the counterfeits and how it's going to be done, right? So, God has just been speaking to me for this last month, basically telling me, and this is for everyone, how it felt to be rejected by your prodigal, right? If you were ghost, you know how that made you feel. If you were abandoned, you know how that made you feel, right? If you got played, you know how that made you feel, right? So God has been giving me revelation, and it was more so correction because He know how aggressive I can get in prayer concerning the counterfeit. Because I used to pray, let him go, sir. Just let him go all these counterfeits. Okay. Had him to reject them. I used to pray that. So God came in and gave me some correction. He said, no, he was like, prodigals are going to put the counterfeits away the right way. It's going to be done with respect. Now the counterfeit, when the prodigals are putting the counterfeits away with respect, they're not going to see it as being respect. They're going to be hurt. They're going to feel rejected. They're going to be upset. They're going to probably feel like you've been playing me all along. Okay. So, you see what I'm saying? But the standard God is requiring from the prodigals, because he's going to tell them, he's going to, like give them the words to say. He's going to, reveal to your prodigal how to put away the counterfeit, but they have to do it in order. They have to do it respectfully, okay? And they have to put the counterfeits all the way away. There's no coming back. And God, He brought to my remembrance the counterfeit I had in my life, because that's how He did it, you know. I didn't know when He called me over to His house that last time. I didn't know He was the counterfeit was being obedient to what God placed on His heart to do with me. And I call him a counterfeit because I got a child with him, but we wasn't in a relationship at this time. And let me tell you, so he called me over there, and I knew something was wrong. I knew something was off. Because I just sensed things, you know. And I was reading his body language. I was like, something going on. I was like, is he sick? Something going on, right? And so he began to, I had my two children, my two little ones with me, and he began to talk to my son and give him instructions on taking care of my daughter, which is his daughter. He gave him instruction. And I was like, okay. You know, I'm just observing all this, right? And then after he gave him the instruction, he told my son, he said, take care of your mother. Now I'm still, all this is going over my head. I have no idea that this is his way of finally ending what we didn't have, but but just ending this, all the way, right? And so, long story short, I had got the revelation a week later, like, oh, that was his way of basically letting me know he's leaving, he's gone, because that was the father who never really accepted his daughter. Okay, the child I had with him, he never fully accepted that for his reason. So God led him into dealing with that situation and me, but he had to do it in a respectful manner, because we used to bump heads concerning, this situation. We used to bump heads. So he called, like I said, he called me over, even though he wasn't straight up honest, about what was really going on. It was done to my understand, it was done the right way or whatever. Okay, so I say all that to say, your prodigal is going to put away these counterfeits. Okay, they will, the same way how Abraham put away Hagar. Okay, it's going to be done with respect. It's going to be done, okay, the right way. All doors will be closed to the counterfeit. But this is going to happen at its time, in its time, okay? It's not going to happen when you want it to happen. It's going to happen when it's time for it to happen. So you got to be patient, okay? And so if your God ordained spouse is still answering a counterfeit phone call, it's not time yet for him to put that counterfeit away. He still has some unfinished business with this counterfeit. You're okay, Miss Thomas. Wife has been with another man for 2.5 years, but still tells me she thinks about me every day and I'm a good man. Why? Our contact is minimal. Because you have to figure out why she with this other man. What, like, it's not sex. I'm gonna just say that it's not sex. Mm-mm. Your wife, I do believe what she's saying. She does think about you, and she knows you are a good man. But she's with this other man. He's meeting a need that you're not meeting. I know that's hard to hear, but I gotta tell you, he's meeting a need in your wife that you're not meeting. So, with women, it's either an affection need. She either we big on feeling protected, or knowing our husband, the man in our life, is going to protect us. Okay, and you have to know how she view protection, because you could be thinking, oh, I protect my wife, and she could be over here telling her girlfriend, this man don't care about me. So you got to know how she view protection. So we big on, like I said, affection. We need affection. We big on feeling protected. We want to know we are your number one priority. Again, you have to know how to show up for her. Um, is what else? And you support her. she's with this other man. It's something that he's doing, or it's a need he's meeting that she's not getting with you. However, she still thinks about you, and she know you're a good man. She don't want her marriage to end, but it's that need. You gotta figure out what is it that he's meeting in her. When you figure that out, you meet that need so it could pull her away from him. And I wonder if she even know, because going back to what I was just talking about, the counterfeit in my life, even though he had a hard time accepting his daughter he had with me, right? He didn't want the baby, but I kept the baby. The reason why I dealt with him, the reason why I kept him around, is because he made me feel protected. I knew if I ever had a problem, if anybody was coming for me, I just tell him and he gonna deal with it. I knew that. Okay. And he was a great provider as well. But it was more so protection for me. And you want to know why? Because I never felt protected by my own father. Never. I never felt protected by, I used to be married, my husband. Here come this man who I have a child with, making me feel protected. I clung on to that. That was the one thing I held on to. So you got to really understand, okay? You got to really understand. He met that need in me, and even though this man was not so great, I still held on to it. Mm, okay. Yep. Do the prodigals check on the God ordained spouse during divine separation? Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. It may not be checking on them the way how you might not know your prodigal is checking on you. Okay, men sometimes want something in a woman, but push it away when it shows up, even though we don't realize we're doing that. Right, right. Yeah, y'all hear that? He said, "Man, sometimes this is a man who's writing this." He said, "Man sometimes wants something in a woman, but push it away when it shows up, even though we don't realize we're doing it." Right. Hmm. And I'm gonna go ahead and just announce it this Tuesday inside of our God Ordained Marriage Academy. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and announce it. This is Wayne from Doc and Queen Ministry. Wayne is coming on, and we're gonna have um his perspective, her perspective. So Wayne, we're gonna be talking about prodigal, the man. We're gonna ask Wayne some questions, okay, about man. He's gonna bring some understanding, some insight, some clarity to our academy, okay, this Tuesday. So if you all want to hear from a man's perspective, okay, join the academy, godordainedmarriages.com/academy. It's gonna be so good. I can't wait. She said, like, what is that? Yeah, yeah. We're gonna talk about it, Amy. We're gonna talk about it. Just hold on. We're gonna talk about it, okay? Yeah. The enemy does bring counterfeit. The enemy sends counterfeits into, it could be the prodigals and the believing spouse's life, to block them from, their destiny. That's the whole goal. To try to stop it, block it, or even if they can, kill it, kill the destiny. Oh, this is so good. Okay, listen, this is so good. I know you talking to Amy, but look, he said you would think that, but we don't know when it shows up. Even if we ask for it or knowing that's what we want, we eventually figure it out. They will, and that's what they figuring out doing divine separation. That's why God kicked us, the believing spouse, out of the kitchen. He's like, "Go on, get over there and go on and get some business," you know, because if you are still there, if you are still in the picture, it can come across to the man, you manipulated his decision. It was, he can always blame it on you. Like, let's say y'all got married and y'all never had a divine separation, and then things start going crazy in the marriage. He could always say, "You forced me into marrying you. You did that. You da 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 da." Right? And so God, because He noticed, He's like, "Get out of the way." He has some figuring out to do. Let me reveal some things to your husband. Let your husband arrive to the decision that he wants to come into agreement with this marriage. It's a process. Amy said, "I'm gonna need a podcast." Could it be she got a soul tie with the other man? It could be, but I don't know who you're talking about. That's another thing we want to be dealing with too, doing divine separation, breaking those soul ties. No, I need y'all to really hear what I'm saying. Handpick says, so prodigals keep denying the way they really feel about you because they are embarrassed. No, no. They can, it's not denying. I don't know. I don't look at it as prodigals denying how they feel. They know how they feel about you. Prodigals know exactly how they feel about you. However, you may view it as they denying their feelings because they may not be pursuing you. They may not be like moving forward towards you. And that's what Wayne was saying, in so many words, it could be the fears that's coming up. It could be if he has feelings for you, it could just be he's not ready. He know he got feelings for you, but he also know he's not ready. He could be like, I got all this lust in me, I got other things to do. And then it could be the stuff he got going on in his life that he got to get in order, before he can pursue things with you. It could be a lot of different things, okay? But I don't see it as they are denying their feelings. They just not pursuing, like moving forward, the way how you want them to, not yet. And they have their own reasons. Okay. Yeah. Bless you. He said, my wife still has to lie to the other man. My wife still has to lie to the other man about what she's doing and who she is. Yeah, so your wife has some things going on. She got to become honest. She got to grow in character. That's number one. She has to grow in character in the area of stop lying, okay? And then two, she got to grow in character and also learn how to honor covenant. You see what I'm saying? She might just need a whole correction around covenant. Um, but also she's lacking identity. She don't know who she is. She This is what you're dealing with. So you said your wife has to lie to the other man about what she's doing and who she is. So that tells me your wife is being someone different to this other man, and then she's your wife when talking to you. Like she's this way with you, that way with him. That's a dangerous game. That's a lack of character. Um, she has to grow. These are prayer points too. So begin to pray and ask God, encounter her, give her no rest, grow her in character, heal the wound that is causing her to be one way with this person, another way with that person. That's like um it's a personality. I don't want to say disorder, but she need healing. She don't know who she is, and she's trying to find herself through man. What do you think it means that God told me to stop praying for him and was confirmed by both of my pastors? I don't know because see, I have heard people say that, oh, God told me to stop. He released me from praying. God never told me to stop praying for my spouse. So I don't know. I don't know. And I'm gonna tell you something. Um, even when I took a break, I ain't gonna lie, I took a break. I took like a 2 or 3 day break, and God came in. He was like, I need you to pray for his mind. His mind is under attack. You know, it was another time God stepped in. It was like, because I always had a hard life, so I know how to overcome challenges that come my way. So God, He gave me the revelation. He was like, He needs your help. He needs your help. He's being met with certain obstacles that he can't seem to break. And so God was telling me press in prayer to help him break it. So God never told me to stop praying. So I don't really know. I don't really know. Why would I mean? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one because I don't believe I just don't believe God would say stop praying for them because it's always something to pray for. You see what I mean? Even when they're going through judgment, you gotta pray. You gotta get that S word off of them. You gotta begin to pray. Pray them through that guilt and shame that they're coming up under. Pray that they don't give up. Pray that they don't settle. Because sometimes when they going through hard time, they'll be like, it's good enough. Okay, I did enough. I did enough. No, pray they butt through. Like you're not giving up. That's not enough. Okay, no. So you got to keep pressing in into prayer. Yeah. Mhm. Donna said, my God ordained spouse has told me twice recently that he needs me to know that he does not hate me. Not sure why he said that. Yeah, he wants you to know he doesn't hate you. He also know the way how he may be behaving or have behaved in the past could cause you to think he hate you. So he's telling you, I don't hate you. Okay? We're gonna just leave it at that. He doesn't hate you, but he's letting you know because this is good because he has sat down and taken a look at himself. Okay? And he has really assessed his feelings and emotions, for you. And he's like, okay, I don't hate her. You know, he probably been dealing with his anger, whatever, whatever's caused him to show up this way. But he doesn't hate you. God is working on him. Okay, he said facts. She told me she's trying to be authentic and real like I am, and she is lacking identity. Tell her in a loving way, okay, you cannot find yourself or be authentic with another outside this marriage with a counterfeit. Uh-uh. To be your authentic self is to be honest with yourself. Like this is I'm talking about with her. So she has yet to be honest. She said you're a good man, right? And she thinks about you. However, a part of herself she's still rejecting. She's rejecting being happy again, right? And the reason why I say that is because she hasn't come home yet. She's still with this other man. So how can I be my authentic self when I keep rejecting my own happiness? I can't be my authentic self when I got to be one way with him. She has to come to understand when we talk about, like being your authentic self, I got to face myself and I got to just be honest with, I want to go back home to my husband. I understand we might have some things to work out, but this is where I want to be. And then we get up and we take that step and go back home. You see what I'm saying? But as long as she's with him, mm-mm, she could be going around that circle for a while. Yeah. Some prodigals don't know this right off the bat. She said prodigals know the counterfeits are not the one, and the God ordained spouse is the one. Some of them don't know this off the bat. Some prodigals be confused and think the counterfeits are the one, which is why prodigals reject the God ordained spouse because they think the counterfeit is the one. But over time, doing divine separation, as God began to bring correction, right, and reveal your value, right? Because God can hide, the God ordained spouse. God can hide you from your spouse. But once God began to, bring all this revelation, correction, then they're gonna learn. They're gonna come to find out I'm with the wrong one. And sometimes, let me just say this: sometimes prodigals they can know they're with the wrong one. They can still be with a counterfeit knowing that's not the one, and you're the God ordained, but they'll still be with that counterfeit if they're not ready. They will still be with this counterfeit if they feel intimidated by you, the God ordained. They will still stay with this counterfeit if they dealing with their own insecurities, hurt, and pain. Okay? So struggling with a family member who is narcissistic and jealous. God is now warning me in dreams. She purposely kept a key away from me for a door in our home and gave it to her friend instead of me. Yeah, these God ordained love story, it will cause all, enemies to come out. If God is warning you, and by you putting the word narcissistic and jealous, those you put those two together, narcissistic and jealous, those individuals try to take your life. Be careful with that. But if God is warning you, take heed to that warning, and you might want to just go ahead and move yourself away from them. You know, just move yourself away from them. Can your God ordained spouse be someone you never met in person but have spoken to on the phone, FaceTime? It could be, but let God reveal to you if this person, you FaceTime is your spouse or not. It could be. Could you said would God put you in a divine separation to show you that you married the wrong person? So it sounds like you and your spouse isn't in the same, y'all not living together, y'all not in the same home, and y'all in a divine separation. I'll say this: God is for marriage. Okay, even when you marry the wrong one, the wrong person. Let me get the scripture in First Corinthians chapter 7. Here's the rules. If that's not a God ordained marriage, then I call it a self ordained marriage, the marriage we put ourselves in, right? Now, here's the rule. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 15. It says, but if the unbeliever leaves, let him do so. Um, let him do so. A believing man or woman is not bound in such circumstances. God has called us to live in peace. So if you want the marriage to work, um, but your spouse doesn't want it to work, and if you have identified like this wasn't a God ordained, we put ourselves we put ourselves in this marriage, this wasn't God ordained, If you want marriage restoration, but your spouse doesn't, then according to scripture, you can let your spouse go. You're called to live in peace. But God is for marriage. He wants marriage, okay? And he's all about restoring marriage, okay? So I say that to say, I don't think he would put you in a divine separation just to let you know that you married the wrong person. No, he will put you in a divine separation so that he can begin to work on restoring the marriage. You see what I'm saying? And then I want to say this too, because if you're dealing with a prodigal will have you to think you married the wrong person. When you understand prodigal, you know how many times, okay, we did with these prodigal spouses, we like, did I hear right? Maybe I heard wrong. So so just understand, when you're dealing with a prodigal, okay, you can't think you married the wrong person. Why would a spouse say they are envious of you? Because they envious. They got that envy spirit in them. They envious, jealous. That's the thing. And I'm gonna do a teaching on that. I'm gonna do a teaching on that. How not to compete with your spouse. Don't be jealous of them. But if your spouse is telling you that they're envious of you, that's because your wife, again, is going back to her lack of identity, but she's envious of you because the very thing that she envy in you is what she admired. It started off as admiration, but then it turned into envy, right? And that's because she's more focused on you than herself. She has insecurities going on within herself, and instead of her just working to turn these insecurities into confidence, she envy you because whatever it is she's envying you about. It could be, your confidence or whatever. She needs growth. She needs to grow, heal, okay, find herself. That's what's going on with your wife. You're welcome. Yeah, yeah, you are welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Amy said, "Yay! I'm excited about that academy on Tuesday. I am too. I can't wait. I can't wait. We're gonna have a ball in the academy. Yes. Yep. So listen, we're gonna go ahead and bring this live to an end. We talked about a lot, okay? We talked about a lot. So everyone enjoy the rest of your night. Okay, Hillary, she threw a curveball at there. She's like, wait a minute. Hillary said, my husband has told me I make him miserable. Then 8 hours later, call me up at 2 a.m. I wouldn't answer that phone. Look, understand. He said you make him miserable. Listen, misery starts from within. It's not that you make him miserable. He's miserable with himself. So when he deal with himself and figure out how do he move himself from a space of being miserable to now joy and happy, okay? So it's not that you make him miserable. He's unhappy with himself, okay? But I wouldn't be answering his calls at no 2 o'clock in the morning. Mm-mm, no. Yeah. Yeah, understand what it means to be dealing with a prodigal, because they will make you feel like I heard wrong, like God didn't choose this, okay? But it just prodigal. When I think of prodigals, I think of brokenness, hurt, pain. You know, I just think of that. Got the enemy in there. Yep, this live will be available. I'm gonna keep it up. You're welcome, Donna. Happy birthday again. I hope you enjoy your day. Are we still going? Going where? Where we going? I don't know where we going. Hey Jay, where you been at? Jay said I had a dream my husband was rapping a Jay-Z song, but he was saying the devil is in me and I have the devil in me. And the words off my lips are lies. That was a dream from the enemy, but you said you'd be so busy. That was a dream from the enemy, but also Jay-Z represent the spirit of this world. So that's what the enemy will send it to you in your dream, the spirit of this world. So rebuke that spirit, cancel that spirit off of you, and come out of covenant with that dream. But also cancel what he said in that dream. The devil is in me, and I had the devil in me. Cancel all that. Cancel, all word curse coming out of my husband's mouth about the devil being in him. In Jesus' name, take authority over it. Begin to, speak the word of God over his life. Begin to command his. But let me tell you something. For my married couples, begin to command for your prodigal spouse. Okay, it's time out. Okay, we're done. Like, this is what I do in prayer. It's time out. We're done playing around. Okay, it's time for you to step into your purpose and calling. I'm doing this in prayer, not over the phone or face to face. I command you to walk in your purpose. I command you to return back into your right mind. I command you to, step into your identity in Christ. Okay, speak, the opposite. Let me see. Speak some scriptures over him. You will be a faithful, loving husband. You will live with your wife in an understanding way. Speak it over him. hmm Rebuke that mean spirit off of him as well. He said, when I first asked my prodigal if he had feelings for me, he said he wasn't ready for a relationship. Months later, it turned into him rejecting me. He sounded like he's emotionally unavailable. Yeah. Yeah. She said, Hillary said, I was laughing because of what our prodigals try pulling and what they get us to thinking. That's why I said, what did I say? That's why I said, listen to what God is saying to you during divine separation, because when you go through all of that rejection, the betrayal, you will think what you want to think. You're going to put whatever you put there. You're going to be like, oh no, my prodigal rejected me because of X, Y, and Z. They like the counterfeit more than me. You're going to say whatever, right? And then God is going to slide in there and say, no, it was manipulation. God going to come in and say, no, he or she love you. God is going to come in there. He's going to bring correction. So, it's just very important during divine separation. You are listening to what God is revealing to you, because he's advocating on both of our behalf. Oh, okay, SSJ. Okay. So listen, we about to call this a night, okay? Both of my kids, look, I done put the kids to sleep on this line. Listen, y'all have a great night. And yeah, I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Okay, I'm about to get ready to go to bed. But have a great night. Don't forget our dream interpretation masterclass happening May 31st, the end of this month. There's the link, godordainedmarriages.com/dream class. And also this Tuesday, we're gonna have Wayne from Doc and Queen Ministry. We're gonna have, our his perspective, her perspective. Her is me. So we're gonna do a some man talk in there. We're gonna hear from Wayne. He's gonna break down from the man's perspective, okay, and bring a lot of insight to our community. So with that, have a great night, everyone.